Quarterback Byrum Brown is officially an Auburn Tiger. Let's go. Let's go. What's up, everybody? Welcome into this live edition of the Up-Tempo Podcast. Breaking news live edition. Byrum Brown, quarterback from South Florida, has officially, it's done. The wait is over, guys. You can quit checking your phone every 5 minutes like I know we all have been the past 48 hours. Byrum Brown has announced he is going to come to Auburn. Not a shock, but as I do want to discuss, and I'll get into this in a little bit into the episode, even though he was the quarterback for Auburn's new coach, right? And we can all look at it and say, well, this was a layup. Of course this was going to happen. These past 5 years, the obvious, the layups, Auburn's blown them. And you can't underestimate and you can't undersell Auburn actually getting this one across the finish line. Like, this is a big deal. We'll touch on that at the end of the episode, though. As you guys pile in here, man, do me a favor. Like this video. Smash that thumbs up button. Subscribe today to the Up-Tempo Podcast right here at 100 subs away from 3,000. Let's make that happen. Share this video out on social media. You can find the original post that I made on X and just retweet that. That would help out a ton. But let's talk about Byrum Brown, the player, the football player himself. What is Auburn getting? I think everyone's kind of heard the stats by now. We've kind of looked into him for weeks here, if you weren't watching him throughout the season. But let's go through it one more time. Last year, completed 64.9% of his passes. Excuse me, that's his career. So last year, he completed 66.3% of his passes for 3,158 yards, 28 touchdowns to 7 interceptions. He was sacked 16 times, QB rating of 167.1. Pretty solid passing numbers, right? And then you look on the ground and you say, oh, he also went for 1K there. 175 carries, 1,008 yards on the ground, 5.8 a carry. Now, take into account here those 16 sacks, right? And that's obviously not a lot. It feels like Auburn got sacked 16 times in one game a couple of times last year. But take into account, in college, those sacks kind of get your rushing stats, right? To still average 5.8, like, that's crazy. That's crazy. He had a monster year last year. One of only like a dozen guys to ever throw for 3,000 yards, run for and then run for over 1,000 in the same season. The 3,158 yards was good for 28th in the country. The 28 TDs was tied for 10th. And the QBR was 77.9, was good enough for 18th in the country. So, look, a lot of people can look at this and you can say that, like I was a minute ago, you can say this is obvious. Of course, this was going to happen. Also, a lot of people are going to look at it and say it's the G5 coach bumping up to the SEC. He's just bringing his G5 quarterback, all this kind of stuff. Look, Byrum Brown has been productive at USF for multiple years. He had 1 year where he got hurt, so it was cut short. Now, he was productive in the games that he played prior to him getting hurt. All the game tape of him being a starting QB in over 30 games at South Florida is pretty much good tape. I'm not saying it's perfect. I'm not saying you can't pick out a bad throw here. I mean, 7 interceptions, right? Like, every quarterback's going to have a bad throw, bad plays. But overall, the game tape speaks for itself. Like, you see what this guy is. This is dynamic. This kid's electric. If, let's say that Hugh Freeze worked out at Auburn and they didn't have to fire Hugh Freeze and there wasn't a lot of turnover in the quarterback room. You could have kept the guy, like, say, Deuce and all that. Like, say none of that happened, okay? And say Alex Golesh doesn't leave USF because he's probably going to go to Arkansas or Ole Miss or somewhere. But let's say that doesn't happen. Let's just pretend like he stays at USF another year and Hugh Freeze doesn't get fired, okay? Byrum Brown was going to command top dollar in the transfer portal anyway. 3,000 yards passing, 1,000 yards rushing, double-digit tutties on the ground, 28-7 touchdown interceptions. And he started over 30 games, and he's won a lot of those games. He was somebody. Like, look, the plugged-in people at USF I'm not talking about the burner fans on Twitter that are trolling and all that kind of stuff, right? The plugged in like writers and stuff at USF, they'll tell you Byrum Brown was going to enter the transfer portal. He's a grad transfer. Like he's graduated from South Florida. He was always like the plan for him personally. And what was understood within that program was that the plan was for him to ball out this year and then go get a big payday in the portal. Before Auburn ever entered the chat, before Alex Golesh leaving Auburn or leaving South Florida ever entered the discussion, it was kind of understood that Byrum Brown was going to play out one more year at South Florida and then most likely hit the portal and go to a big-time school and take advantage of that opportunity. Some of like the trash talk and the nastiness between USF and Auburn fans that, like, in my opinion, is silly, and I'm not really going to get too much into it. I think some of that's kind of like taken away a little bit of what I'm about to say here. But I think that like if all that didn't happen the way that it played out, and Auburn wasn't like rating South Florida for their best players right now, if it didn't play out that way, USF fans would be like, and I'm sure a lot of them still are, would be praising and thankful and be like, hey, thank you for these 4 years, bro. Like two very productive seasons. Like, thank you and go be great kind of thing. Like that's kind of where that was at. This was expected. So Byrum Brown was, I mean, the money that Auburn gave him, that's not a sweetheart deal. He's represented by Drew Rosenhaus's agency. Okay. If you don't know, if you're not like a pro sports fan, and you're a college fan and you're a longtime college fan, you don't follow pro sports, and agencies are new to you, Drew Rosenhaus a big dog, okay? He represents the big dogs, and his agency represents the big dogs. So, yeah, this is a big-time prospect that was going to get a payday somewhere. Somebody was going – a P4 program was going to bring Byrum Brown in and give him the opportunity to be QB1 next year. So, and look, we have a lot of new subs, right? We got a lot of new subs. We also, I see a lot of people that have been longtime supporters in the chat. So for the new subs, for the people who may be watching for the first time today, if you're listening to this and you're like, oh, this guy's just an Auburn homer, I go back and play my stuff from last year. I was not on the Jackson Arnold train. I even tweeted out when the day that Jackson Arnold signed with Auburn, I tweeted out a hammer and a nail going into a coffin. And that was to symbolize this is the final nail in the coffin for Hugh Freeze. Because him picking Jackson Arnold was the nail in the coffin. I said that the day he picked Jackson Arnold. I've pulled the tweet up on the show before. So this isn't just Homer. Like, and you can check my X account. I've tweeted about Byrum Brown all year, long before we knew he was going to be an Auburn Tiger, or long before we knew Alex Golesh was coming to Auburn. I've been on this, man. I've been on this. Like, I watch Tampa sports. I'm a big fan of all the pro teams there, as a lot of y'all know. But I check in on USF as well, and, like, it was obvious. And plus, they were one of those teams where you know a G5 team is going to make the playoffs. So we were looking at the James Madisons. We were looking at South Florida. We were looking at Tulane. We were looking at Memphis. So I watched a lot of games of those teams just as a college football fan to see which one of these G5 teams is going to be, you know, the one that gets the nod. I had no idea, too, we're going to get the nod, but that's a different discussion for another day. I've watched Byrum Brown, and I'm a real believer, man. This isn't hype. This isn't boog. This isn't sunshine pump. I think this kid is an absolute dog. He's electric, bro. And we don't have to sell ourselves. There's no sell here. If you want to ask yourself the question, can it translate? One, I would say turn on his tape versus P4 competition. And understand that he had group of 5 linemen around him. We'll do this discussion later. I don't want to get off topic. I want this to stay about Byrum Brown. But a lot of people that are upset. I was on the water cooler talk last night with Nick. Some people were calling in upset because of the amount of transfers coming from South Florida. Notice what positions they are. Not one trench player. Not one player on either side of the line of scrimmage. Look at the visitors that are coming to Auburn that are offensive or defensive linemen. Most of those guys, Kansas State offensive lineman, right? Ohio State offensive lineman, LSU, Alabama offensive lineman. Like, you kind of see what they're doing here. These skill, and then if you go back and look at some of these skill position guys, they also have pretty highly rated like recruit. Like they weren't like big 4 and 5 stars, but there were other SEC programs like that tied in. SEC programs were trying to get him. He was committed to Tennessee for a while. So a lot of these like skill position guys and these like Koger, that guy's a baller. So they're bringing in skill position guys from the G5 level. But Golesh just coached at Tennessee recently. He's not new to the SEC. It's not something foreign to him. I think it's pretty telling that he brought in, double-digit USF guys? Think about this. He's brought in double-digit South Florida guys, right? Auburn needs offensive linemen and defensive linemen really bad, and he hasn't brought in any from South Florida. That kind of tells you what he thinks about it, like about where his players were and where he's at, what he had at his previous program. Tells me he feels like he was recruiting SEC-level skill players, but maybe not so much in the trenches. So, and those are different discussions for a different day. We all know you have to build a solid offensive line around a quarterback. We all know that. If you want him to average 5.8 yards a carry, you got to open up the holes for him a little bit. You got to block. And you've got to, you definitely have to have the pass blocking down to where you got to worry about him throwing the ball down the field, and the defense has to honor that, and then he can take advantage of his legs. That's another part that I really want to talk about. There's going to be questions, and we'll see, just how much, just how well he can like read defenses and playing a 9-game SEC schedule. What does his passing look like in a 9-game SEC schedule? I definitely think he's capable, and I think he'll be fine. The question is like, what's the ceiling? Can he throw Auburn to a win kind of thing? I'm not saying he can't. I'm just saying like that's a valid question. But here's the thing: we've seen it, and I'm not making comparisons. I'm just talking about simply scrambling quarterbacks. I'm not going to jump on this comparing guys to Cam Newton train. Saw DJ Lagway get compared to Cam Newton yesterday. I'm just like, when is this going to stop? But we've seen with scrambling quarterbacks in the past, Cam Newton, Nick Marshall, I know those are extreme examples, but you see with these guys where 3rd and 6, 3rd and 7, you can call a play, everything break down, defense has everything read properly, and a dynamic quarterback with his legs just gets the 7 yards. Jaden Daniels at LSU was great at this. He still is great at it in the NFL, where just getting that first down on 3rd down with your feet, 3rd and 5, 3rd and 6, you've got everything covered. And all of a sudden, there's this 6'5" tank, 240 plus coming downhill at you. That's a lot. That's a lot. And it's not like, he runs big, he runs strong, he runs heavy, obviously, because he has a big frame. But it's really he's athletic too, man. He's the full package. When you have a guy at quarterback that anytime the football is in his hands, he can turn it into a home run play, that's different, bro. That's something Auburn hasn't had in over a decade, truthfully. Quarterback has the ball in his hands every single play. And Byrum Brown's the kind of guy that can turn any play into a home run, just like that. He can turn he can make a bad play call completely irrelevant. Golesh, Cody, whoever can call in the worst play in the world. Yeah, well, everything broke down. Hey, watch me take off with my legs. Do something about it. He's that kind of guy. He's a dude, bro. He's a dude. There's no doubt about it. So huge. Like when we look at just the player himself, one of the top quarterbacks in the portal, one of the top players in the portal, big time get for Auburn, man. You be excited. Auburn fans, you can be excited about this one. I know these last 5 years have been rough. I'm going to talk about some of that at the end of the episode, but you can get hype on this one. It's not bug. It's not Sunshine Pump. Turn on the tape. Don't even watch the, you know what? Don't even watch the YouTube highlights. Anybody can put together a good package of YouTube highlights. Go watch a full game. Go on YouTube, type in USF versus Boise State. And just watch. And tell me what you see. This kid can play some football, man. When we talk about locker room, when we talk about culture, something that I have, this dead horse that is culture, that I have beat to death, dug up, beat again, and buried again. This is huge, man. This is absolutely huge for the culture. It's one thing to have guys at certain positions. Like for one, when we look at Auburn's last two starting quarterbacks in particular, I think they're good guys. I'm not trying to knock them, but how much juice did they really have? Y'all know what I'm saying. Think back to Peyton Thorne versus LSU. Remember the 4th and 4, 4th and 5 when he just ran out of bounds and just turned over on downs? Didn't even like put his head down to try to get it. Auburn ends up getting blown out in Baton Rouge. No juice. Nothing. You heard all offseason, Jackson Arnold's confidence. We're going to get his confidence up. We got to keep his confidence boosted, right? No juice, bro. Just no juice there. Doesn't mean they're bad guys, but there's just no juice there. It brings something different when your quarterback brings that intensity. Because quarterback's supposed to be the leader, right? Pro football, college football. I mean, look at the paydays they're getting. Giving you $3 million, you better be a leader. The kid at Texas Tech giving him $5 million, he better be good in the locker room. He better be a leader. He better bring it every day, right? But some of that stuff, man, you can't teach. You can't just put dog in somebody. If you could, coaches across the country would be implementing dog, right? Every football player would be a dog. You can't put it in somebody. They got it or they don't. Or something happens to them that makes them develop it. This is a guy that just has it. He was just born with it. He just wakes up with it every day. And again, if you want proof of that, turn on the tape. It speaks for itself. Auburn has to reset the culture. Auburn has to learn how to win again. Auburn is going from, and there will be a lot of roster turnover, and there's going to be a lot of USF guys that can help out with this. But Brown's going to be the guy that leads the way. In terms of, you are definitely switching mentalities now with head coaches. You are going from laid-back players coach to a little bit more intense, hard-nosed guy, right? That can be a bit of a culture shock to the people who are still going to be, that stay at Auburn, that are holdovers from the previous staff. That can be a bit of a shock. You go from laid back, you're kind of allowed to get away with stuff, to all of a sudden, hey, we rigid, structured, we do it this kind of way. To have that bridge, to have that gap between coach and players, to have that player that can tell the other guys in the huddle or in the locker room or in the weight room, hey man, you just trust it. Trust the process. I've been with AG before. This is going to work. You can't put a price on that. You look across the country at guys that are bringing their quarterbacks, whether it be an OC like at Oklahoma, right? OC and Mateer. There's a lot of different examples of this. But a lot of times, those transfer situations work out better than what Auburn did last year, right? Auburn tried to go get a project when Auburn in reality was a project offensively, and they try to combine the two and make something of it and hope that it all clicked and hit. You're You're not doing that here. They already click. They already work. So will Byrum Brown want to get better? Will he strive to get better? Will he strive to develop this offseason? Of course he will, right? Tom Brady played 20 seasons in the NFL or whatever it was, and every single offseason he was working on stuff to get better. So he's always got stuff to improve. But it's not like when they're doing installs in the spring, Brown, for the most part, is going to know what's up, right? He doesn't have to learn this whole new system. He knows this system. He's ran it for years. So from a cultural standpoint, you have a guy that can speak for Alex Golis and can be a representation for him in the locker room, can be a team captain and all that kind of stuff. But also, if you go to like a pure football standpoint, you've got that as well there. When your best players are leaders, that makes a big difference. Luke Deal is an all-time great person. Love him, great Auburn Tiger. But how many plays did Luke Deal make? And he was a leader and all that. And he was great in the locker room and love him for it. But he wasn't making plays. It's different when your leader's making plays. Look at Janai Broom in Auburn last year. Did Auburn and Cam Newton. That's an extreme example, but it's different when you got a captain, when you got a leader that's actually out there making plays every single day. Retired veteran Pensacola. I see your comment. I know exactly what you're talking about. Do you mind if I say the name? Like, I don't want to bring your comment up and say it on the show. If you don't want me to say the name, but I don't see why it would be a problem. But I'll just want to check with you before I do that, because I know what you're talking about. So yeah, locker room, teaching the offense. Who's going to be QB2? Is Auburn going to go bring in somebody from somewhere else? If so, this Deuce night isn't officially gone anywhere yet as of the 20-something minutes that I've been live. Let's say you bring Deuce back. I'm not predicting that to happen. I'm just giving an example here. You got a guy that, hey, during installs, I can help you out. I've ran the offense for multiple seasons now. Any of the new players they bring in, he can be that guy. He can be that leader on the field and in the locker room. And, man, that's so valuable. That is so valuable. My guy, Mr. Exodus, says, let's go. Byrum Brown is a difference maker. He really is. He really is. He's a game changer. He's a game changer for sure. So let's get to some of these comments. Retired veteran Pensacola, hit me back in this chat, buddy. My guy, Zach Dixon, says, Coger is a beast, man. Excited about him. Absolutely. Yeah, Coger's a beast. A lot of these USF receivers, talented football players, but Coger in particular, take pops. And a lot of times in this current structure of college football, all these guys are portaling in from different places. And you got QBs trying to learn a new offense. You got QBs trying to build a rapport with new wide receivers. These guys got a rapport. These guys know the offense. And they're pretty damn talented. And again, I want to say, look at who he's bringing from South Florida. Not a single player so far. And also remember, I know it's been talked about a lot. My guy Charlie Fice talked about it a lot. But the uptick in the roster number, right, going from 85 to plus 100, you're going to see some people added just to get to that number. But the guys that Golis has brought in from South Florida, they've all been skill position guys. Coger's a guy that probably could have hit the portal this year, very productive freshman year, and got paid. He could have probably bumped a level up and gone P4 after the year that he had. So I know people look at it and they say, I know people look at it and you know, all these South Florida guys, we're coming South Florida North. Man, you really got to like break it down and look at what he's bringing. And again, he's coached in the SEC. He knows. They need dogs up front. Thank you for the $2 super chat, Zach. But yeah, Coger's a beast. Guys like Coger, guys like Singleton, guys like Neptune, I think they could have hit the portal anyway and gotten, if this situation with Golis at Auburn didn't happen, those guys, I feel like they could have hit the portal anyway and got P4 offers and bumped up a level, especially Coger and Singleton. And I know Singleton has not, it's not been announced at Auburn yet. Auburn looks like they're still trying to finalize on getting that down. But, yeah, Coger is an absolute beast. So whose mom is extremely excited about everything? Look, so I'll just tell y'all, I'm from Pensacola. You can look at the new additions and look at the one that's from Pensacola. Like it's a receiver. So yeah. And they should be. They should be. And I did a member pod. And the only reason I'm saying it like that, because I don't want to, we got somebody in the comments, the retired veteran Pensacola. I just don't want to, I don't want to out him or anything. I'm probably like reading too much into that or whatever. But yeah, people are excited. Parents are going to be excited. I mean, look, there's like, I did a film breakdown yesterday for our members for Christian Neptune. That kid's a dog, okay? Christian Neptune's a dog. I watched him firsthand in high school. And kid's a beast. He's underrated. He's very, very underrated. Him and Bryce Kane in that slot position, that's going to be a fun battle to see who comes out on top. And I think he got two good guys. Christian Neptune is going to be a solid contributor for this Auburn offense. How much this year, I don't know. But I'm telling you, that kid can play some football. He just got overlooked because he's from a high school that's 10 minutes down the road from me. We're out here in the sticks. Like we're out here. We're in the Florida. It's Pensacola, right? If you know the area, it's actually Cantonment. We're out here like on the Florida Bama line. And Christian Neptune, he just got overlooked. I watched him in high school. This kid's just getting overlooked. He was a 3-star. And he had some kind of bigger schools looking at him, but no one ever really gave him the offer. And a lot of you know too, if you watch high school football, you know how it is. If one school has if a high school has a really talented receiver, they're going to put him on the outside no matter what, right? They're going to put him on the outside no matter what. And I was watching Neptune in high school run fades and stuff on the outside, knowing that at 5'11" in the SEC, he would really, or in college football, that he would really be a slot guy. So yeah, really, really excited about him. Chase says Neptune is out of this world, like that for sure. He's a monster, bro. I don't say he's a monster, but he's definitely an underrated prospect that I think he's going to be a contributor for Auburn. He's going to be productive for Auburn in his time on the Plains. So I'm very fired up for that. He's going to be one of these guys that kind of goes unnoticed. But I said it on the member pod yesterday. I'm like, this is pretty solid production. If you look at his numbers, it's 38 receptions as a true freshman. It's pretty solid. I'm telling y'all, man, Christian Neptune, good kid by everything that I know, good family. And he's going to be he's a kid that's going to come in and do the right things, work hard. And he's a good, solid football player too. Let's see. Let's get to some more of these. Let's see. Doesn't IU have 13 JMU players currently on the team that's in the semifinals this week? Yep. Yeah, for sure. Signetti, he brought the guys that he thought could translate, and it's hard to argue, right? So, this is one of the things too where because college football is changing, we're all kind of learning together. Eventually, people will get used to this. This is gonna be normal because of how much turnover happens in college football. Every single season, it changes every year, right? Like even the teams that have the least amount of turnover in the country still have more turnover than we saw before the portal and NIL era. So when you have a coach get fired, especially at a P4 program, but any program really. You have to understand, players will leave. They committed to that vision. The Cam Coleman's, the Deuce Knights, you can say whatever you want about them. They committed to a boss. They took a job. They committed to a boss. A boss interviewed them. They got offered the job. They accepted the job. They showed up to work. The boss got let go. So at any other company, what happens? Everyone in the chat has worked somewhere, I would assume, where that's happened. People leave. You may have left a job before because of a boss change. And it doesn't even mean you hate the boss, the new guy. It's just not what you interviewed for. So in this current structure of college football, massive turnover, especially during coaching changes, is to be expected. So then that new coach is going to come in. If he's coming in from another school, watch, like you're going to get more case studies of this. And it's going to continue to be a thing. There are going to be guys that get hired up into P4 from G5 that have roster spots to fill because there's massive turnover due to coaching change, and they bring a lot of their G5 guys with them. I mean, you got to fill the holes. We got to fill the team. So, look, that whole situation, it doesn't bother me. And again, he's not bringing in 4 offensive linemen from South Florida and saying, these are the guys. He's not bringing in the entire edge room from South Florida and saying, these are my guys that are going to get after the passer. No, Auburn's brought in some big guys on visits or planning some big guys on visits, like top prospects on D-line or O-line. So I see the vision. I see the vision for sure. Let's see. My guy Jay says, hit that like button. Absolutely, man. Hit that like button. Sub to the channel right now. If you're listening on Spotify, Apple, anything like that, turn on automatic downloads. Follow us over there. There's a couple more things that I want to kind of get into before we get out of here today. And if you have a comment that you want me to get to, because the chat is bumping, and I am on here by myself today, so a super chat or something like that. I'll try to get to some of these from our members. Got a couple here. But I want to talk about a couple things here I want to get off my chest. These last couple of days, I've seen there was a lot of angst. There was a lot of anxiety that came from the Auburn fan base. Because Byrum Brown, when the portal opened, this has been the worst kept secret, right? Everyone knew Byrum Brown coming to Auburn. Well, we all at least anticipated it. So when the portal opened, everyone was kind of hopeful it would be maybe Saturday, Sunday. Like when me and Nick loaded in for the Sunday show, we were making the joke before we hit live. Like also, I'll tell you all this. I literally had a breaking news Byrum Brown commits to Auburn graphic ready during that live show to load into YouTube and switch as my thumbnail. Like I was prepared for it to break at any moment. So we've been anticipating it. As everyone knows, as it drug on, questions kind of started to arise as to why this is. Ultimately, it doesn't matter. Auburn got Byrum Brown. That's all anybody's going to care about. When he's running for touchdowns next year and breaking off big gains on third down, no one's going to care that it took 24 to 32 hours longer than we would have liked. And no one's going to care about the details, whether it be we were negotiating the deal or South Florida was holding up paperwork, whatever the details are, no one's going to care. Here's what I want to say. 1, we have seen over the past 5 years that you cannot rule out Auburn's ability to blow the layup. You can't. There have been so many guys that, well, I don't want to say that. There have been so many situations. Most of them on the field. But there were some personnel situations too that you look at and you're like, like the Grayson McCall thing. I know I'm kind of going back a little bit there, but what, Auburn didn't have his degree or something like that. in these past 4 to 5 years, man, some layups, the obvious ones. Auburn's found a way to mess things up. Look at the fourth quarter of the football games the last 2 years. JABA is not just some acronym that we throw around. Unfortunately, right now, we're hoping it's in the process of changing. Getting a guy like Byrum Brown, that's a big plus. That'll help. But right now, JABA's alive and well. It's thriving. You haven't had a winning season in 5 years. So you can look at this and you can say, well, this was obvious. This is no big deal. Alex Golesh has coached this kid for years. Of course he's going to come to Auburn with his former head coach. Was it really guaranteed? Like, what if Miami would have entered the discussion? Start throwing bags around. Again, this is one of the top-rated quarterbacks in the portal, one of the top-rated players in the portal, one of the most productive players in the portal at a premium position that has production, that has experience, has everything, has all the tools, all the traits. I'll say it again. Somebody was going to drop a bag on Byrum Brown. So don't underestimate it. Don't undersell it. Was it easier for Auburn because of Alex Golesh and all that? Was Auburn always in the driver's seat? Yes, 100%. And it would have been a real tragedy. It would have been you going down, fast break, layup, the next closest defender's at half court, and you just hit it off the rim. It would have been a terrible miss. Because that's how wide open you were. So I acknowledge that part. But Auburn football over the past 5 years has missed on those wide open layups. Now, the recruiting with the previous regime was solid, so not so much on that side. But just in general, y'all know what I'm talking about. Whether it be the fourth quarter of games, we can talk about some other off-the-field stuff. Auburn's just missed, man. They've been their own worst enemy in a lot of ways in recent years. So the fact that Auburn actually got this across the finish line and actually got this done, the scariest thing in this whole process to me was how obvious it appeared. That was the scariest part to me, was that it was so obvious that it should be Byrum Brown, that it was going to be him. That's what scared me the most. Because I started asking myself, can Auburn actually pull off the obvious? And they did. And you had to play big boy ball with the Rosenhaus agency. And you did. So I'm going to give my kudos to Warsaw and Alex Golesh. This, just because you already had a relationship and you were in the driver's seat and all that, we've seen how nuts college football is right now. And when that young man entered the portal, anything could have popped off. Auburn got him into Auburn, didn't let him leave Auburn without getting the deal signed. Don't underestimate that. Don't undersell it. That is a big deal. Auburn, for the past few seasons, has not been able to get the obvious done. And they did today. So, shout out to those guys, man. Big time stuff. Big time stuff. Got a $4.99 super chat here. Let's see. Let's get to the super chat. So Nina, what's up, So Nina? Appreciate you being in here in the chat. Always supporting the show. Always active in the live chat. Says this is definitely better than Freeze, Arnold, and Thorne combined, in my opinion. Moving in the right direction. War damn Eagle. This one feels different. And you know why it feels different, So Nina? Because the tape is different. Go watch a Jackson Arnold game from Oklahoma. You have to sell yourself. Well, the O-line's bad. His OC got fired. The receivers aren't great. You don't have to sell yourself on anything with Byrum Brown. You just watch it and you go, oh, wow. Okay. Yeah, there's no sell. You just got to use your eyes. It's obvious. Kid's a baller. So I agree with you, Sonita. Very, very excited. I as well believe that Auburn is finally moving in the right direction. Now, I say that January 6th, we got a long way to go. But this one feels different. This one feels different. Mr. Exodus says, at least we didn't have as many leave as Iowa State. Great point. This is Matt Campbell leaves Iowa State, goes to Penn State. You see a lot of guys. You see a lot of guys go with him or just leave Penn State altogether. Excuse me, just leaving Iowa State altogether. So, yeah, this is just part of what college football is right now. And I think so far we got to see, I got a question I'm going to get to. We got to see what happens on some of these, the line of scrimmage positions. But look, man, you got to think that big time offensive linemen want to come block for one of the most productive quarterbacks in college football. Zach with a $5 super chat. Appreciate you, my guy. He says, you saw that Coger tweet at Singleton to tell him to stop playing and come to Auburn and asking us fans to help. I love to see stuff like, yeah, I retweeted it. I had to, I said, we'll help you out, Coger. We'll help you out, right? Texts are just rolling in here. So yeah, you love it, man. You love to see it. You love to see guys that are bought in. They're bought in, and yeah, we want it. I'm with Coger. We want Singleton. We do want Singleton. Just got sent something here. This is according to Justin Hokanson over at On3, so I want to give him the proper credit. Per sources, Brown's deal is worth in the neighborhood of $3 to $4 million. Similar to Alex Golish's contract, Brown is loaded with incentives that kick in with high-level team and individual success. ESPN's Pete Thamel also reported it projects as the most lucrative deal in the NIL era. Wow. I'm going to read that last line again. And one more time, this is per Justin Hokanson at Auburn on 3. ESPN's Pete Thamel has reported it projects as one of the most lucrative deals in the NIL era. Don't let nobody tell you we broke. Don't let anybody tell you Auburn's broke. Auburn's just spending the money more wisely this time. We ain't got $10 million pumped into the wide receiver room. Can't afford to. But going out and getting one of the most productive quarterbacks in college football, that costs a little bit of money. And what does this tell you? What does this tell you for the future? One of the most lucrative deals in the NIL era? I think that might help Auburn moving forward, don't you? Let's fast forward a little bit. Byrum Brown balls out at Auburn. Productive, gets paid, goes pro. What's the selling point after that? The selling point is the most lucrative deal in the NIL era. You can come to Auburn and get paid. You can come here and get paid. And if the rest works out, you can come here and get paid, and we put you in the pros. And what's funny, too, somewhere in between the neighborhood of $3 and $4 million. So if Byrum Brown balls out at Auburn this year and goes pro, he might actually take a pay cut going to the NFL. That's nuts. That's nuts. So big time, man. This is big time from Auburn in every aspect. This is not a bug session. And I get accused sometimes of being on the negative side of things and when in reality, I'm just telling things like it is. You want me to come on a post-game reaction show after another one-possession loss and pump sunshine? This ain't the show for you. I'm not going to do that. I refuse to do that, actually. But what I'm also going to do, but like it's not for show. That's my authentic feelings. This isn't for show. These are my authentic feelings. I'm really, really excited about this. And I think everyone else should be too. This is the real deal. Now, there's a lot of stuff that's still, like Zach says, this is a huge deal. It is. It just is. You can't undersell it. I love it. I love that. And thank you to the person you're in the chat. Thank you to the person that just texted me that. Because that's incredible. One of the most lucrative deals in the NIL era. And I mean, that's probably saying if he hits all the incentives, right? Like it's super incentive, based. But still, that sets a great precedent. And now next time you're recruiting with a big dog from the Rosenhaus agency, hey, we got a relationship here. We've made big deals before. Everything about this, from the actual on-field 3rd and 4, Byrum Brown go get us a first down and he's going to do it, to all the implications off the field. Everything about this should fire you up. War Eagle Dude said, let's just be positive and trust Golis' process. Looks like Golis is putting the pieces together on offense for guys that already know his system. Yeah. College football has never, it's a development. I saw a coach, a position coach, forget for what team. It's a D1 team. He's like a wide receiver coach or something. I can't remember the team. But anyway, the coach, he posted yesterday, he said development in college football is dying. And you can see how that's a reality. I can tell you about some local kids I know that change local high schools every year now because NIL is a thing in Florida for high school. And I watched a talented kid transfer high school from his freshman to a sophomore to his junior to a senior season, and he's the same player that he was as a sophomore because he should have never transferred in the first place. He was already at a good school with a good coach. So, and the development gets lost. If you're always trying to learn new systems and all this kind of stuff, if you're transferring 10 times, why isn't TJ Finley developed? Kid's got to learn new offense every year. He balled out at Texas State, left. Or maybe it was Western Kentucky. One of those, he balled out at one of them. I want to say it was Texas State, and then left. Then hit the portal. I think he balled out at Texas State, then hit the portal and went to Western Kentucky, if I'm not mistaken. You're stunting your own development at that point. So, to bring in kids that already know the system, yeah, bro. That's big. That's big time. And you can see why he's doing it. And again, I've probably said it 3 times already on this show. If he brought in a bunch of linemen and said, here's your starting offensive line, they were a bunch of USF guys, I think we would all raise our hand and say, is this going to work? But you're bringing in a quarterback with wide receivers that were all super productive. I feel really good about the quarterback. I feel really good about a couple of those receivers. I think it's going to be fine. And two, this is another thing too. South Florida, we all know, I've already done the episode about just how bad South Florida was whenever Golis came in and took over. But a part of their big turnaround was his understanding of NIL. And so he quickly did a facelift to South Florida's NIL program and started getting guys like the tight end that's now committed to Auburn, Eccles, that was committed to Tennessee. So, again, some of these dudes that are coming to Auburn from South Florida were actually SEC-level skill players that he convinced to come to South Florida. They're good football players. And also, you have to look at it all. They're all individual circumstances. They're all a little bit different. Some guys are going to be expected to play right away. You bring in Koger, okay? You expect him to play right away and be productive. That would be the expectation. Pettigrew, the other wide receiver, you're not expecting that next year. You're hoping for down the line. So if you look at it as a whole, you could say, oh my gosh, all these South Florida guys. When you actually start breaking it down individually and looking at them, each situation kind of makes sense. And you got 100, like you got a lot of spots to fill. He's got a lot of spots that he's got to fill. So Nina coming through with a super chat today says $9.99 super chat again. Thank you so much, so Nina says I love the performance incentives. I think that's the way to go. I agree. Gola seems consistent. I don't know of the NIL and how he's spending it. I think you meant to say consistent on the NIL and how he's spending it. You need a call-in show. Woo! Call-in shows, so Nina, are different. Call-in shows are a little bit dangerous. Might do, and so Nina has signed up for a membership. I appreciate you. We'll put that on the board. Thank you. Becoming a new member of the Uptempo podcast. Go check out that Christian Neptune film breakdown that I dropped yesterday as soon as we get done here today. Guess what? More film breakdowns on the way. Got a basketball game tonight. I will have a post-game reaction to that just for the members as well. So welcome to the family. Thank you for signing up for the membership. But yeah, we'll probably get to a call-in show eventually. But I do think it'll be members only. Because when you open it up to where just anybody can call in, boy, some of those it stalls, right? If you can't control who's calling in, the conversation can stall out a little bit. And you just can't control. You get trolls and everything else, and I don't want to deal with that. But I'm definitely working on a lot of new stuff for the members, and a call-in show for the members is definitely going to be something that we get to sooner rather than later. So that is coming, but it will be member only. I can't trust it. I can't trust it to the public. Auburn has a good one in BB. Absolutely. Yeah, man. I think we're all really excited. Colby says, if we're going to base Deuce's potential based off what he did against Mercer, then we got to give Byrum credit for what he did at USF. Great point, Colby. Great point. And I agree with you 100%. Yeah, you got to give him credit. It's funny. It's like for anybody that says, well, he just did this against the G5 schedule. It's like, okay, well, didn't those other G5 teams have quarterbacks too? How many G5 quarterbacks were there last year? How many of them threw for 3,000 yards and ran for 1,000? I'll wait. Like, if it's so easy to do against the G5, why don't other guys do it? Kid's a baller. That's why he did it. Got a new member. Let's go. My guy, Jerron. Is it Jerron? Jerron Thompson. 6069 became a YouTube member today. Man, thank you, bro. Looking slick. Oh, I'm jealous. Look, I got the tie on, got the suit on, looking good. Looking good, my guy. Thank you for joining the membership. And again, go check out that Christian Neptune film breakdown, and we're going to have more. We got a lot more to get to. I can promise that every single commitment from this recent high school class will have a film breakdown, and we're going to have a lot of them for the portal guys. Might not be able to get to every single portal guy, but we are going to get to a lot of those for sure. Let's get to a few more of these comments here. Sleeping Giant says, I heard you go, hey, my guy Auburn Dad. Shout out to Auburn Dad, bro. He called into the water cooler talk last night, and he let his thoughts be known. It was good stuff. It was good stuff. Love you, Auburn Dad. Appreciate you, buddy. Get a few more of these comments. The Marshall says, doesn't want to talk to all the crazies. No, listen. Look, I'm going to say this. This is how I'm going to end the show. Let me get a sip of water here. I'm about to go on get on my soapbox for a second. I've seen a lot of people. In the past 48 hours tell Auburn fans to calm down. Tell Auburn fans to be patient. And I understand why you would say that. I would also push back a little bit and say, no. Be impatient, Auburn fans. Within reason. If we go 7-5 next year, don't be far out of schoolish. Be patient within reason. But the anxiety as this Byrum Brown drug on, a day or two longer than we expected it to, the anxiety that you saw set in from Auburn fans is earned. It's warranted. This is what 5 straight seasons of losing record will do to a fan base, especially a passionate fan base that cares about its team. You can't hype up that Jordan-Hare Stadium is one of the best environments in the country and that the Auburn fans are some of the best in the country, and then wonder why they get so anxious during the portal period. They're so anxious because they care. They're so anxious because they're desperate. They're so anxious because they continue to show up to game after game, Saturday after Saturday in the fall, spend the money, do the travel, everything that goes into going to a football game. If you don't live in Auburn, if you live outside of the city, it's a lot. It's a lot to go to a game. It can be a whole weekend effort. You spend all that time, all that energy, and you watch your team lose a close football game. Okay, you can get over it. And then it happens the next week, and then it happens the next week, and then it happens the next week, and then it happens the next week. And then you get to an off season, and you say, okay, we're going to hit the reset button here. Bunch of close losses last year. It can't happen again. And then you go through the same thing again this year. Auburn, over the past few seasons, has created ways to lose football games. Yes, this is a fan base that is short on patience. Stop telling Auburn fans to be patient. Auburn fans are ready to win. And when it got to Sunday afternoon and Brown hadn't committed, I already knew. I already knew what was coming in our game day group chat. And I'm here to say, don't change. Don't apologize for your fandom. Be reasonable. Be reasonable. Okay. I'm not saying get on your burner and, attack recruits and players and all that kind of crap. Be a good person. Be reasonable. But, and again, have patience within reason. But I'm not going to come on here and tell anybody, one, you can think and feel however you want, honestly. But two, I get it. You guys are in the weeds. We got almost 250 people in the live chat right now. On January 6th, Auburn don't play football until August. That means you love your team, man. That means you're locked in. You know what I mean? That means you're not one of these people that just a couple weeks outside of football season, you start tapping in. It's funny. You get towards August and you start watching the numbers tick up, like from a content creator perspective. And I get that for sure, because the season's come around the corner. That makes sense. But the point I'm making is there's an uptick in those numbers, but there's also the base of where those numbers uptick from. And that base is you guys that are going to watch every single show that you can, that watch everything the Barn puts out, watches everything the War Report puts out. You're paying for On 3. You're paying for 247, right? You're in the weeds of it. And you're locked in and you love your team. I love it. I love it. This is a fan base that's ready to explode. This is a fan base that just wants something to be excited about, something to go right. Who in the world can blame Auburn fans for thinking it was going to go wrong? If you're an Auburn fan out there right now and you think the worst is going to happen in terms of Auburn football, you've earned the right to feel that way, because that's what has happened. So I'm not going to shit on you, because I get it. I understand it. But I think times are changing. I think better days are ahead, for sure. But the passion that this fan base shows every single day, whether it be following the portal or anything like that, don't tone that down, bro. Don't tone that down. Be as passionate and as out front and have as much love for your team, man, as you want to. I saw everyone telling Auburn fans, be patient, be patient. I'm like, have y'all been paying attention? How can you expect Auburn fans to be patient? Of course. Of course they're antsy. Of course their anxiety is high as they wait on a big-time QB portal addition. Would you expect anything else after the first 5-year stretch in Auburn football history? Of course not. You'd be silly too otherwise, man. So I get it. And I love you guys so much. I love being locked in with you. WK Sweat 71 says Auburn has been patient beyond belief. For sure. It's like I saw a lot of that this week, and I'm like, man, they have been. They've been beyond patient. WK Sweat says it's go time, baby. I'm with you. It's go time. It's time to bury the old and move forward with the new. And the new is quarterback Byrum Brown, transferring in from South Florida. What a big-time addition for this Auburn football program. If you were out there, man, be excited. Be pumped up. You're allowed to have a little bit of hope. You're allowed to have a little bit of optimism. This kid can play football. This is a massive pickup for Auburn. This is a massive pickup for Alex Golis for all the reasons that we discussed on today's episode. If this is just not enough content for you, go ahead, man. Level up today. Sign up for these memberships. $3.99 a month will get you to that JV squad. $5.99 a month will get you into that varsity squad. We've had some gifted memberships today. We've had some people sign up for the memberships. It's been another great live show. I love you guys so much. This is the best way to get up-tempo content every single day. And I'm going to be busy for the next few months getting this stuff out to y'all because we have a lot to get to. So there you go. $3.99 a month to JV squad. $5.99 a month to get to that varsity squad. This is the best way to support the show. It is not free to run a podcast. Contrary to popular belief, you don't just turn on the camera and hit go. Costs money. So the best way to support the show is by signing up for those memberships, super chats, and all that kind of stuff. It helps out a ton. You guys have been great, and thank y'all so much for that. But just watching the show, just tuning in, hitting that thumbs up button. That's all we really need, man. That's more than we could ask for. So I love you guys so much. Brett with the all caps as we get out of here says we got a prediction for the O lineman from K-State. Let's go. Let's go. We gotta build the trenches. We gotta build the trenches. Noodle says K-State recruits big uglies. That would be a good get. Yeah, that's a big time one, man. That's a big time get for Auburn for sure. Auburn needs to get multiple Power 4 level starters on both sides of the line of scrimmage. Don't be surprised if you start seeing some of those offensive linemen roll in because you got the QB now. Forever the optimist, Daniel Denny says, I have to see it to believe it. I need to see him play real teams. He has, buddy. Go turn on the tape. He has. And he's played well. They beat SEC teams last year. They got this. He beat as many SEC teams last year as Auburn did. He has played real teams multiple times, and he's played well. All right, that's going to wrap it up for this video, man. Y'all like the video, sub to the channel, follow me on X at DMXOD28. Thank you so much for everybody. I'm going to go through here because sometimes I do miss super chats at the end. Let me make sure we got all the super chats, got all our memberships. See people talking about the Oklahoma State O-lineman. Yeah, that would be great. That would be great. People talking about how he beat him in the swamps from out Florida. Yeah, he's played good teams. He's beat good teams. All right, so that's going to wrap it up, man. Like the video, sub to the channel. We will be back tomorrow. There's a lot to talk about. We'll be back tomorrow morning with another episode of the Uptempo Podcast. If you were over on Spotify or Apple, turn on those automatic downloads, leave a 5-star review, follow us over there. I love you guys. I appreciate every single one of y'all. War damn Eagle. Be excited. Byrum Brown is an Auburn Tiger, and it's a big deal, man. I'll see y'all tomorrow morning. War damn.